Is it their eyes? Their fur? Or simply, their moves? No matter what it is, face it, they're irresistible. It's time to catch up with some of the freshest faces that we share our world with. From sunrise to sunset, be immersed in their lives. Mingle with these youngsters and get to know them and their families better. Experience all the hustle and bustle of their daily routines, all while getting up close to these baby animals in our world. Our day is being spent splashing around with the youngsters that live in the aquatic regions, aquariums and marine parks of the world. Coming up, these African penguins are on a mission to crowd surf their way to their nesting grounds to bring some of these fluffy bundles into the world. Plus, get set to make waves with this little lady and her new family. And keep an eye out for this prowling otter pup. It's up to something very fishy. Water. H2O. It's a big part of our world, covering some 70% of the Earth's surface. Many animals' lives play out entirely in aquatic environments, while others split their time on and offshore, allowing them to enjoy the best of both worlds. Humans are also attracted to the water, be it fresh or salty. Part of the appeal? Being able to catch some of the local residents in action. Some like to completely submerge themselves to get up close and personal with these creatures. Others like to keep their feet on dry land while learning more about the lives of aquatic animals. Oceanic or amphibious, flippered, feathered or finned, it's time to dive in and get face to face with the youngsters that make their home above and below the waterline. It's a new day, and rays of sunlight are dancing across the water. The glow acting as a subtle wake-up call. A tiny head is beginning to stir from its lakeside bed of feathers. Before too long, there is another. Two cygnets, eager to see what the morning will bring. Getting up can be so hard, especially when there's a warm boardwalk to bask on. It's nice to sleep in on days like this. Stretching its little wings, this duckling's off to a clumsy start. Some beds can be so uncomfortable. Finding the perfect position is no easy task. No such problem here. The soft sands by the breaking waves are proving almost perfect for slow risers, the flies being the only distraction. The seals in this aquarium have a busy day ahead. But waiting for the staff and visitors to arrive can be a bit of a drag. Pups that try to push the pace with grumpy mothers shouldn't expect a warm reception. It's too early. A polar bear cub appears to have a similar idea. But its mum is a little more receptive. This mother swan has decided to give in and take her little ones for an early trip around the lake. With mum leading the way, these water babies are wading into a big day. A riverbank, the perfect place for semi-aquatic animals in search of breakfast on the run. This pup's already landed a snack. Fish is always a favourite for hungry river otters. Other animals can afford to be picky. Fish on a stick? Not today. A mini mouthful is warmly received by this tiny sea turtle hatchling. Eating alone is peaceful, but when you share an enclosure with a few dozen siblings, things start to get competitive. So many jaws on one piece of food. It doesn't take long for a reptilian tug of war to break out. This hatchling's won the breakfast battle this morning.
You going to mug me?
Am I going to mug you?
Is that gorgeous or what, eh?
And I believe I can run a decent marathon.
Thank you very much.
Download Veely now.
Penguins are masters of the art of swallowing fish. It's a simple process. Head first and down the gullet. Hungry ducklings are happy to put the work in to find a meal. Not far away, it appears a feeding frenzy has begun. The action is thick both above and below the waterline. There's no queue here. Any food on offer is snapped up in the blink of an eye. The dry side of the pond provides a less frantic pace, free of fishy competition. Some water birds prefer to go sheep-style, browsing in the grass. There's no time for conversation here. These cygnets prefer to keep their attention on the buffet, which is clearly all you can eat. The morning is starting to get into full swing, and across the beaches and shores, there are many lessons to learn. Semi-aquatic water babies have to endure many challenges. Being able to live in water and on land means they have bodies that are adapted to both. Adult seals are sleek and streamlined for gliding through the water and rolling. But for the pups, life begins on solid ground. Flippers are great underwater. On land, a little awkward. Crawling on one's belly is no easy feat, but after much practice, progress is being made. Learning to navigate stairs is today's challenge for this young polar bear. Whoops! These are very steep, but they're nothing this cub can't handle. For ducklings, a rocky embankment makes a great spot for diving practice. Lakes and rivers provide food and shelter for many water birds. And watching their parents is the best way to learn which food is good to eat and where to find it. No complaints here about eating greens. A mother swan has found the goods in this part of the pond. One thing many water birds don't need to learn is how to float. Their natural buoyancy is like having a built-in personal flotation device. Ducks take naturally to water, and they're equipped with the perfect utensils to sift for food. Thin bristles in their beaks allow them to filter out any tasty particles while they're dabbling. With their foraging lessons over, it's time for this mini flock to take a break on dry land. After all their swanning around, that last straggler is having a tough time getting up the bank. Made it! Let's dive into the family album to showcase the most widely distributed pinnipeds in the world. Harbour seals. Also known as common seals, these marine mammals can be found along the coastlines of the Northern Hemisphere. This aquarium-born pup is having a checkup, showing off its spotty, pale belly. At birth, harbour seal pups usually weigh around 10 kilograms and can be up to 1 metre long. The pups are extremely capable right from the start, being able to both crawl and swim within 30 minutes. These water babies can gain more than ½ kilo a day, developing very quickly into underwater torpedoes. When they reach adulthood, they are able to dive for food up to 400 meters below the surface. Their large dark eyes have flattened corneas, giving them perfect hunting goggles. Underwater, a harbour seal's senses are fully realised. Their whiskers have the ability to detect movement nearby, drawing them directly to their prey. There's another easier way to grab a snack. Simply hang around a harbour long enough and catch some free takeaway. Aquariums often play host to very special guests, like these hatchlings. They are flatback turtles, the only sea turtle in the world that nests solely in Australian waters. You can tell they're marine turtles by simply looking at their long flippers. Their freshwater cousins have webbed feet instead. These babies are just 2 months old. And while they are young, they're on an important mission: to educate visitors about their species. This is the first time flatback hatchlings have ever been on display at a public aquarium. They were laid by a female that's been tracked for 41 years. When the shells of these little ambassadors get to be 15 centimetres in length, they'll be fitted with transmitters and released back to their home waters. Then, as they cruise around, they'll be continuing the family tradition, helping researchers gain a better understanding of these fascinating marine reptiles. Spending so much time in and around water, the need to groom may not seem like it would be a high priority for aquatic residents. Not so, especially for many kinds of fish. Dead skin cells and ectoparasites create a daily challenge for some species. Fortunately, a complimentary fish cleaning service is never too far away. These clean freaks are always on the move, as they cruise the neighbourhood for any customers that need to be freshened up. Their efforts aren't entirely selfless, though. The cleaning process is also how they feed. It's a win-win relationship for both parties, known as mutualism. Another semi-aquatic species that benefits from natural cleanup crews are hippos. Although these parasite-hungry oxpeckers had better take flight. Water birds they are not. Ducks, of course, have no aversion to a bath. In fact, this community is happy to commit a large part of their day to maintenance. Off on the sidelines, it's a little less chaotic as a young duckling carefully preens its tiny feathers. This gang have made a preening station out of a rock. Ducks and many other birds have a few tricks up their feathers to help keep themselves squeaky clean. A preen gland at the base of their tail is used to collect and rub oil across their feathers. This helps them keep their feathers in good condition and even adds an element of water repellence to their bodies. Long necks come in handy when trying to spruce up those hard-to-reach places. These older cygnets have picked up a superb technique from their mother. Lacking the grace of the swans, a seal pup is doing its best. Although in regards to staying clean, this may be having the reverse effect. Perhaps this furry baby would have been better off with a bath. It's mid-morning, and a colony of African penguins are on a quest to make their way to their nesting ground near Cape Town in South Africa. The first challenge for these walking tuxedos? To negotiate this popular stretch of sand known as Boulders Beach. These small locals have learned to share this sandy space with the thousands of human visitors that also like to flock here. These birds are inquisitive and won't hesitate to investigate anything left unattended. The surf is crowded today, both people and penguins competing for the best waves. Despite the overwhelming presence of humans, these penguins are determined to complete their mission. They have eggs to lay, and they'll do whatever it takes to get there. While their bodies may be short and squat, penguins are more agile than they appear. While they continue their journey, let's make our way to the other side of the globe, to North America, to meet a very different kind of bird. One that dances, sings, and has a soft spot for romance. Sandhill cranes are easily identified by their long, slender bodies, unique calls, and their vibrant cap of red feathers, their crowning glory. Their whole life story is also a bit of a love story. True romantics, these birds mate for life. A pair could easily be together for 2 decades or more. Females will usually lay 2 eggs in a nest made from dry plant materials. Both parents sharing incubation duties for 30 days. When the chicks emerge, they only slightly resemble the adults. Despite their fluffy down and small size, a hatchling can be up and exploring the wetlands within 24 hours. This wading business would be a lot easier with grown-up legs. Like most new parents, the first few weeks are a busy time, sourcing as much food as possible for their fast-growing chicks. Being omnivores, they're not picky eaters, as anything and everything is on their menu. Sandhill crane chicks are in no rush to move out of the nest. They usually stay with the adults until they're 9 to 10 months old, before they join a nomadic flock of cranes their own age. These elegant birds can start to look for the love of their life from the age of 2. To start off, another generation. With noon approaching, it's time to check on the progress of the African penguins. Here at their nesting grounds, there's a game of tag going on. Plus, some fierce competition for nest-building supplies. Who needs a wheelbarrow when flippers are so handy? Some materials are more highly sought after than others. A freshly washed up mound of seaweed is an impressive prize. Nests can be found or made. A sand burrow means lots of hard work, but it's worth the effort as they make the perfect den for precious eggs. While many continue to build their nests, some males take the opportunity to draw attention to themselves in order to impress their female companions. Successful pairings are usually followed by the arrival of 1 or 2 eggs. Both parents care for them. While one incubates, the other can go in search of more nesting materials. Some 40 days later, the couple's efforts are rewarded. The first few weeks of life are crucial for a chick. At this age, they are fully reliant on their parents for warmth and food. Before long, these chicks will grow large enough to join the rest of the youngsters in a crèche or penguin kindergarten. Life really is a beach for these chicks. Across the waterways, harbours and oceans of the world, the water babies are starting to slow down. Time for a well-earned siesta. The floating platforms of this dock are a popular rest stop for these resident fur seals. Berths on this waterfront property appear to be in high demand. Undisturbed sleep is a battle hard won on this dock. Being crawled over comes with the territory. This bunch of sleepyheads is starting to resemble sardines in a can. How many fur seals can be stacked before breaking point? Sleeping solo is a much more peaceful alternative for this harbour seal. This pool makes a very spacious waterbed. This one looks like a cork bobbing in the water, snoozing like that. A grassy mattress is a comfortable choice for this grey seal pup. No matter where seals choose to nap, living in a large group means there's safety in numbers. Blankets can't compare with the soft and snuggly folds of a polar bear's thick coat. A family of ducklings is also settling down for a midday nap. There's no better place to relax than under the watchful eyes of a mother duck. Elsewhere, a cheeky cub is sneaking in a quick snack before nap time. Hungry polar bear babies can feed up to 6 times a day. Now that its tummy is full, it can rest and recharge in Mum's furry arms. Well deserved after such an adventurous morning. The water babies are set to splash out and have a blast this afternoon. Bring on playtime. Bright-coloured barrels aren't safe when little bears are around. This cheeky duo of fur seal pups are enjoying a friendly tussle. Wrestling is possible with flippers. 1, 2, 3, and pinned. All of this roughhousing prepares the pups for when they're older and competition gets more serious. Young otters are happy to skirmish above and below the waterline. This play fight is taking all kinds of twists and turns. Time to have a breather. Seal pools are always a hive of activity. Where better to zoom around and practice some aquatic acrobatics? What a show pony! Aquariums and marine parks are home to a large range of creatures, and many of them come with a story. Like this long-nosed fur seal pup. She was discovered on a beach, injured, weak and underweight. Thanks to her rescuers, she was given a second chance at life, receiving lots of care and attention at this aquarium. She shares her new home with other seals. A small family by comparison to her wild colony. But it's a family nonetheless. Life for a rescued seal is a bit less challenging compared to what their wild counterparts experience. So, to keep this marine mammal on her toes, there are plenty of enrichment activities organised. In return for this life-saving favour, this little seal gives plenty back, helping visiting animal lovers learn more about the engaging behaviours and fascinating lives of marine creatures. This little teacher still has a long way to go before reaching adulthood. At full size, she could reach up to 40 kilograms in weight. And she'll do her growing up here, safe and sound, in her new home. When it comes to setting up house in an aquatic environment, there are oceans of choices. The first factor to consider is the size of the resident. Interior design is also important. The occupants need to feel right at home in their natural element. When fish of many sizes share the same tank, it's important to provide smaller spaces to allow some species a place to hide from their larger counterparts. Even out in the open seas, there's no place like home. Many fish that were born around a coral structure will return to the same area after floating in the ocean currents during their larval stage. Clownfish like their homes so much, they form a special partnership with them, known as a symbiotic relationship. Any intruders are kept at bay, thanks to the sea anemone's toxic stings. The clownfish is safe in amongst them, however, due to a thick layer of protective mucus. In return, clownfish keep their home anemone clean by removing parasites, providing nutrients in the form of waste, and they will scare off any predators of the anemone, such as the butterfly fish. It's a win-win deal for both parties. Some residents, like pygmy seahorses, really like to blend in with the furniture, as it allows them to hide from predators. Smaller than a paperclip, pygmy seahorses not only share the colour of their homes, but also their texture. No matter where they live, having a place to get away from it all is also important to aquatic residents. Whether it be a rocky crevice, in amongst some lush vegetation, or inside an aquarium ornament. So long as they feel safe, they're home. Family album time. This afternoon, we're diving in with some water horses, better known as hippos. Hippo calves are born away from the herd in a private area. As one of Africa's largest species, these babies can tip the scales at around 45 kilograms. For the first few weeks, the calf will bond with its mother before being introduced to the rest of the herd. The baby will be nursed both on land and in water for about 8 months. Hippos really know how to keep their cool. These aquatic mammals are known to spend up to 16 hours a day underwater. Strangely enough, though, they can't swim. Instead, they prefer to take submerged walks. Despite being herbivores, hippos have a reputation as one of the most feared animals in Africa. With large gaping jaws and a tendency for being highly territorial, this pool party is for hippos only. Next is a distinct group of water birds known as grebes. There are many species in this family, and some are particularly striking. Grebe parents make a good team, both building a nest on floating mats of aquatic plants. After incubating their eggs for 3 weeks, the grebe parents have chicks to tend to. Like most birds, the feathers of grebe chicks are very different to the adults. Their stripy patterns help to camouflage and protect the babies. The chicks will grow to be independent by 6 to 12 weeks. Grebe chicks really are water babies. They can swim as soon as they hatch, although sometimes they don't have to. Mom or Dad make a fine water taxi. Before long, these chicks will leave their parents to start their own families. But until then, they'll continue to cruise the day away. When it comes to grace and style out on the water, swans immediately come to mind. These elegant creatures are always a popular sight for bird enthusiasts. Swans are often spotted dabbling in search of food as they calmly wade across the surface of the water. Due to their mostly monogamous behaviour, swans are often regarded as a symbol for romance. Speaking of romance, during breeding season, females will lay 5 to 6 eggs, which will be incubated for 40 days. As a hatchling, cygnets weigh about 300 grams. Their parents are fiercely protective and won't hesitate to take on any potential predators. Cygnets are quick to develop, being confident enough to enter the water within 24 hours. At 2 weeks, the chicks can catch their own afternoon tea, insects and small crustaceans being favourites. As they mature, greens start to get added to the mix. Their fluffy down eventually gets replaced by immature feathers, which are often a mottled brown or grey, good camouflage tones. These young waterfowl stay with their parents until they are 2 years old. This is one good-looking family. No ugly ducklings here. As the afternoon rolls on, a warm beach beckons. Here, a sea turtle mother is busy making a nest for her babies. She can lay hundreds of ping-pong ball-sized eggs in one sitting. Go forward in time 2 to 3 months, and the hatchlings are making their grand entrance. A truly special moment. These babies have very little time to spare. Their first few moments are all about survival. It's bumper to bumper on this hatchling highway. Once in the surf, they don't stop. The faster they reach deeper waters, the safer they will be. During their first years of life, sea turtles are rarely seen. This period is known as the lost years. But eventually, mature females will return to the very same beach where they hatched to start a new generation. Elsewhere, in an aquarium, a new generation of another kind of reptile has recently hatched. These little snappers are saltwater crocodiles, the largest reptile on the planet. In the wild, saltwater crocodile hatchlings are watched over by their mothers until they can look after themselves. Here, these little ones have adoptive humans keeping an eye on them. Eventually, what started out at just 60 grams can grow to weigh more than 1,000 kilos. These mini apex predators have a few survival tricks to help them make their way to the top of the food chain. First is their natural suit of armour, made up of thick scales and bony plates. Good camouflage is another. Like many animals, crocodiles use countershading to help them hide in plain sight. From above, their bodies look dark, matching the waterways they swim in. If seen from below, they blend in with the bright sunlight shining down. If they want to be really stealthy, a crocodile's head is also cleverly designed to allow just their eyes and nostrils to pop above the waterline. These hatchlings have already got that trick mastered. Sneaky little babies. With so much aquatic real estate, it's no surprise that many regions of the ocean are teeming with life. One unusual animal that stands out from the rest is the cuttlefish. Despite the name, this is no fish. Cuttlefish are cephalopods, the same group as octopus and squid. Along with being great little ink squirters, they are renowned for their extraordinary camouflage abilities and high levels of intelligence. Less known is their reputation as diligent mothers. To keep her eggs safe, she carefully uses her tentacles to place them out of sight of any potential predators. The spiny branches of this coral make a good hiding spot. The further down she reaches, the safer they will be. To give them further protection, the eggs harden after they are laid. About 40 days later, the little ones begin to emerge. As hatchlings, cuttlefish are completely independent, capable of using their tiny tentacles to hunt and feed. But at such a tiny size, they have to stay out of sight. If they do sense trouble, these mini camouflage masters can jet away in a flash. Zippy little things. From saltwater to freshwater. There are very few animals as well adapted to life on both land and water as these mammals. River otters. This youngster's getting up close and personal with some two-legged visitors. It's proving to be quite the handful. Its reward for being so curious? A gentle belly rub. Their semi-aquatic lifestyle means river otters have plenty of choices when it comes to meal times. Crustaceans, mollusks and oysters are usually a quick treat. But for an otter, fish is the ultimate delicacy. Adults can consume up to 1.5 kilograms of them a day. If pickings are scarce underwater, river otters can dry off and forage on land. This pup's had a successful morning, bringing its catch ashore. The only downside to the meal? Fish breath. Let's explore the swamps, creeks and rivers of the planet to watch the life cycle of an amphibian unfold, the ever-popular frog. There are approximately 4,740 species of frogs hopping around our world. And this is where they all start, in eggs. Here are some that were prepared earlier. To keep the eggs from drying out, the females lay them in water. After an average of 21 days, tadpoles will emerge. These tiny wrigglers are in the early stages of transformation. They are equipped with everything they need to survive in this environment. They have mouths, eyes, gills and tails. Metamorphosis takes a lot of energy, so to prepare, tadpoles have voracious appetites. These little underwater vacuum cleaners search out and suck up any edible plant or animal matter small enough to be consumed by their little bodies. At 6 to 8 weeks, tadpoles would develop hind and front legs. This one is halfway there. Soon, the froglets are able to leave the water. At this stage, it's normal for them to still have their tails. After 12 weeks, their tail will begin to get smaller and smaller as it's absorbed into the body. Then, the transformation is complete. Due to their need to retain moisture, frogs absorb water through their skin. This makes them useful as bioindicators. So, if a body of water is filled with happily croaking frogs, that's a great sign about the health of the local environment. Another animal that transforms greatly from birth is the Australian pelican. This small, awkward-looking chick will grow to become one of the heaviest bird species capable of flight. Their nests are very eco-friendly. An arrangement of feathers, seaweed and other assorted vegetation. It's the perfect material to help this chick practice using its bill. When it's older, that little pouch will grow big enough to hold 13 litres of water. Here's a very direct way to grab a meal. The menu today, a half-digested fish. In order for this home delivery to continue, one of the parents has to catch the food. Fishing, feeding, fishing, feeding. It's a big job, but it does pay off. Once large enough, this chick will join others and become part of a creche, usually containing around 100 young birds. Before too long, it will be soaring on thermals, reaching heights up to 1,000 metres in the sky. The afternoon's almost over. Just enough time to check back on our rehabilitated seal pup. There's a late play session taking place, and the whole pod is getting in on the fun. Working on their loop-de-loops. The other seals appear to have fully welcomed this youngster into the group and taught the kid a few tricks. It's the inverted flipper wave. She's getting cheekier by the second. It was a rough start for this little seal. But now she's healthy and happy, her future is looking very bright indeed. The sun is creeping closer to the horizon, which means evening will soon be upon the water babies and their families. For many, the day's been so busy, they're already flat out. Polar bear cubs really know how to yawn. Instead of teeth brushing, preening is the pre-bed routine for baby swans. Looking flawless doesn't come easy, but an early evening spruce makes all the difference. Right, now it's time to cozy up. Getting some shut-eye can be a challenge when the neighbour's chicks just won't settle down. This little one has tucked itself away for the day. It appears the polar bears have finally succumbed. The wading birds are having a final browse in the shallows for snacks. The sunset gives the flock a perfect backdrop for the day's last flight. Finally, it's time for the water babies in our world to sleep. And for the sun to sink into the sea.